Hi, my name is Adam Marple, and I'm the director of Big Love.
Hello.
Hi.
So, why was this play chosen in the first place?
Edith Podesta, who is the head of the acting program here at LaSalle, and I have a long history with this play. The play premiered in 2000 at the Actors Theatre of Louisville in Louisville, Kentucky, at their Humana Festival of New Plays, and I was actually in the audience when this show premiered. I've known Chuck, the playwright, for about 11 years now because of my involvement with City Company, which is a ensemble-based company based in New York City, with Anne Bogart at the helm. So I've known Chuck, who's a member of that company, for 11 years, and have seen this play for that time. Edith, as well, has a history with Chuck. She has worked with City Company at the Saratoga International Theater Institute in Saratoga Springs, New York, and she's worked with him on one of his plays. So she has choreographed Big Love. I have been in Big Love. I saw the original production of Big Love, and I've been offered the job to direct this show 3 times, and finally I get a chance to direct it. So I have a long, long history with the show. So that's first. Secondly, the reason it was chosen is because it fits this unique group of actors for the show. We have each year a class of 7 actors. So the show itself has 11 actors, and so we added 2 additional characters. And why I like this show and why I think it fits really well is because it has a really deep story. It has a story that goes back, 2,500 years. It's based off of the Suppliant Women, which is the only surviving text we have of Aeschylus's play The Danaids. And Chuck, in all his brilliance, what he does is he modernizes it, contemporizes it, and brings that deep well of emotion and story to a modern context. And as I mostly do classics, and LaSalle mostly does contemporary works, it was a perfect fit all around.
So you mentioned earlier that you added 2 additional characters to the play. So how does that, if any, does it change the dynamics of the play itself?
I'm not sure it changes the dynamic. It does change the pace a little bit. It does add something new to the play. But as they are 2 characters that were written by Chuck Mead already, they have his language, they have his rhythm, they have everything that is in a Chuck Mead play. They're from a play called Summertime. They are 2 wedding planners, and as Big Love is ultimately about a wedding, it seems apropos to add those 2 characters from another one of Chuck's plays as wedding planners. So I think they fit in there really nicely. We've not added any additional dialogue, so everything that's in the play is Chuck's dialogue. It's just we added 2 characters from a different play, but they seem to fit in pretty well, I think.
So, what are some of the difficulties that you have encountered so far in this production?
Oh, they are many and varied. Let's see, Chuck asks a lot from everyone. He asks big things from everyone involved. Starting from a design standpoint, he throws out this enormous challenge and kind of lets you fill in the gaps. From an acting standpoint, he asks impossible things of actors. He asks them to throw their body to the ground over and over for about 3.5 minutes without hurting themselves, night after night. He asks for there to be live music, and a character in the show, John Cancio, who's playing Giuliano, had never played the piano before. He cannot even read music, and to ask him to play the Clair de Lune, which is an incredibly hard piece of music, that was a big ask, and he's risen to that challenge. It's a big ask for me as a director as well. Ideally, the show should have 114 people in it, which is operatic in scale. We don't have 114 people, but we do have a very large ensemble. We have about 60 people, plus a tech crew, plus an institution itself behind it. It's a very large piece. And finally, it asks a lot of the audience as well, because the language is unlike anything that you've really heard before. It's very poetic, but naturalistic. It's very presentational, but also at the same time deeply old and personal, something like a blood memory, something we feel it, we know it, we may not recognize it. It asks a lot of the audience because each character has a brilliant thesis, a brilliant statement, and then they also undercut that statement. They also have its counter-argument in each one of their monologues. So you get to hear every perspective, and then you get to kind of decide which one you want to go with. There's no antagonist in this show. There's no protagonist in this show. There is no good guy, there is no bad guys, there are just guys, as Constantine would say. So it's a big ask all around, it's hard, but that's part of the glory of that challenge. It's an opportunity.
So in your director's notes, you mentioned that you have both performed and seen several productions of Big Love. So how does this affect your own vision and the direction of this version?
It's very hard to forget the original production. It's very hard to forget my colleagues' productions that I've seen before as well. It's kind of like asking, hey, do you want to play Stanley in Streetcar Named Desire? No, because Marlon Brando did it so well, so then you're just going to be chasing after his. Until you can break it open and make it new, you're just going to be copying. So I think it was actually right that I didn't accept the 2 job proposals to direct this before, because I would have been too close to the other versions. At the same time, I am very enamored with one of my colleagues, Peron Yusufzada, her production of Big Love. The fight scene is in my mind all the time, and I want to live up to that fight scene. But about halfway through the process, you realize you've got something good yourself. The show, the play as written, is a beautiful script, and it doesn't need you. It doesn't need the director. It doesn't need that actor. It doesn't need anything. It's beautiful on its own. When you add those things in, it becomes its own thing. So once you're finally able to kind of let those other idealized versions go, and you open yourself up to opportunity, you take it, you turn it on its side, it becomes something new. So yes, my version is, it's our version, I should say. It's our version is very different and very similar to every other version out there. It's something that I feel really proud of, and it feels like it's a unique version to this, and I think very unique to Singapore and LaSalle College of the Arts as well.
So at the start of every single rehearsal, you would conduct an hour of viewpoints. So how does it help you and your actors in the whole rehearsal process?
Viewpoints are like bar exercises for dancers, or scale exercises for pianists or vocalists. Yes, the actor can warm up their body. Yes, the actor can warm up their voice. But ultimately, the actor is an acrobat of the heart, an acrobat of the imagination. So viewpoints are an exercise to warm up the imagination while warming up the body and warming up the voice. I believe that viewpoints is an instant ensemble building exercise. We have a very large cast, and they are 2 different grade levels, and they're very different ages as well. But I believe that they are a cohesive unit. They look like they have been working together for years. Beyond that, though, it opens them up for options, for choices, to choose in time and space what to do. The viewpoints are 9 things. They are tempo, duration, repetition, kinesthetic response. Those are the time things. Space is spatial relationship, topography, shape, gesture, and architecture. So able to use all those things to make choices in time and space. And the space we have is very large. It's an enormous theater that we're using. So to be able to know what you're doing here and be aware of what's happening over there. We've seen plays before where something has fallen off of a table and the actor is completely unaware of it, right? Or they don't want to make attention to it. But we as an audience are going, why didn't you pick up that glass that shattered on the floor? Why are you just ignoring that feather that's on the ground? In viewpoints, you are aware of all those things and you accept them. It's an accident, yes, and we're going to go with it. Now it's going to be about picking up the feather in a way that furthers the story instead of ignoring it. So I think it helps them be ready for the show, one, but it's also helped us create parts of the show, and it's helped them get into an emotional and aware state of what they need to be and where they need to be for the show at different points.
So you and the set designer came up with a beautiful set design. So how did the inspiration for it come about?
From one line in the script, Chuck said, this should be an installation piece rather than a set. Something like a canvas that the piece can resonate against. So as soon as I heard installation, fantastic, that's great, I make installations all the time, wonderful. As soon as I heard canvas, I thought white. So I started playing around with that idea, and I used to live in Italy. So originally, the original idea that I had back in October when I was told we were going to be doing this was to recreate the wall of the monastery that I lived in. It's a tufa rock wall with niches carved out, and we put candles in it. And I thought, okay, well, let's make that, and then we'll recreate Italy. But that's my Italy, and that's a very specific Italy, whereas this is anybody's Italy. It's open to anything. The white box that we've created lets the audience place what they want to be in that space. The actors themselves get to imagine what it is instead of actually see it there. And it actually does push the idea forward, pushes the images forward, and it's also just really beautiful. I decided that I wanted it to be Baroque. Baroque art at that time had a very specific feel. It was very emotional, very vibrant, as you can see the artwork behind me. Very much about telling the story through the representation, through the statue, through the faces. And I thought that was really on par with Chuck's work, because it's very emotional, very deep stuff, but at the same time, it's not emotive. It's not about crying, it's not about anger, it's about the argument that's there and the passion that's behind it. So everything is very direct, out there, very Baroque and presentational, but deeply emotional as well.
So now that the show is so close to opening, what are the elements or things in the production that has turned out differently of how you initially imagined it to be?
Someone told me once that directing is productively losing control, and I've had points like that where it's not productively losing control, you just straight up lose control and it flies off and it becomes something different. So as large as this show is, I decided to embrace that instead of fight against it, and actively give away parts of the show. So the men's slam dance is choreographed by Dan Crouch. The women's slam dance is choreographed by Jean Toe. Part of the design in a couple of the scenes is designed by John Cancio. The website I've kind of handed over to Shireen Chen, who is our dramaturg. And I've had an assistant director, Adeline Pong, as well, who is taken two scenes, straight up taken two scenes and directed them. Now I'm there on the outside looking in, making sure it fits in the whole, obviously, but it's those things to give away. You know, you love something, you give it away. So I love this show enough to say, I'm not going to be the best person for that. You will be. Fit it inside the zip code of this play. So in that way, I never had I have moments that I absolutely want, and I call them my babies. And so there's things that I have fought for and fought for and fought for over and over again, and they're still there. And there are things that we don't need, and I can give away or I can cut altogether. Last night, for the open run, we cut 3 items, 3 pretty major items from the script, and that's okay. I have no reservations about that. I have no qualms about that. They don't destroy the show if they're gone. They're just ideas, and ideas are cheap. So yeah, it's been an exciting process to find something and then breathe some life into it and then let it go and see if it flies. And if it doesn't fly, it's okay. It was just an idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.